Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of the show. Well, final canonical episode, that is. We might have a what's it called? A little bonus episode for you. I don't know.
Or an OVA or
But
something.
today, yeah, today, your hosts, Ethan and Sachin,
Hello again.
have a guest, Tzak, cute boy Lau.
I don't think that's his middle name.
Tzak, lover man Lau.
It's cursed.
Tzak, Lau. So,
Can you
welcome to the
talk a little
podcast.
louder, Tzak?
Yeah, okay.
Alright.
Welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is the future and the end. Not the Minecraft biome, but the future and the end. So, to start the episode, we go over our backgrounds in science. Sachin, what do you want in the future in reference to science?
Well, I've spent a lot of time thinking about the future of like what we'll be able to do with science and technology. And then especially I've did a lot of research on what AI can do in the future. And so that's why I'm pretty interested in the future.
Uh huh.
Alright, Ethan, what about you?
Well, as for science, I'm interested in like the field of biology because I really like animals. Our last episode is pretty cool. I think biology would be very useful in knowing because I want to recreate Pokemon. Like, I want to make Pokemon real. Which, like, as a kid, I thought it was cool, but now it's probably just going to end up being some, like, awful genetic experiments that, you see in an anime where, like, they're in the basement, they got test tubes, things are, like, screaming and dying. But, you know, we'll get there when we get there. What about you, T-Zach? What do you want in the future?
Well, I've always been in like engineering, so in the future I'm trying to like apply that to the medical field and develop some new technologies.
And he also
Perhaps,
knows a lot of physics. You want to talk about that?
um, I mean, it's just yes, chilling.
Hmm. So you know a lot about physics, huh? You know a lot about physics?
Decent amount.
How do magnets work?
All right, so in atoms there are electrons, and
Mm-hmm.
electrons either have a spin up or a spin down. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like a quantum mechanical property, and it so happens that spin up creates a magnetic field in one direction, and spin down creates a magnetic field in the opposite direction. And for most atoms, these magnetic fields cancel out. But for some materials, such as iron, um, there are like two electrons that are left over, which have the same spin, while every other electron cancel out. So that will have like a net magnetic moment for that atom, and if every single like region in the material, like a domain, um, which are like regions where groups of atoms have the same alignment, and all of those align, then that particular material would have a like a net magnetic field. So that entire piece of metal would act as a magnet.
Okay, okay. So you do know a thing or two about a thing or two, I'd say.
Yeah. About
Yeah, I mean, I could have explained it better, but that was decent, TBH.
yeesh.
Okay. Well, well, it's good to know. What's your background in science, T-Zach? I know we touched on it. What's your background? We know
Mainly
you're
just
Chinese.
okay. Chemistry, physics, a bit of bio, anatomy, and I've been doing a lot of like electrical engineering stuff, like just for fun.
Sure. And you're okay. All right. Well, welcome to today's theme, endings. What do you think? When I say ending, what's your gut reaction? Ending.
Think about like the end of the universe, or maybe the end of human civilization, or maybe
Or
just the
the
end of
end?
yeah, basically
The biome?
yeah.
Have you been to the end?
Many times. I
Have you
would
beat the
go.
Ender Dragon?
Yeah, I would go end raiding and gather up some
Uh huh.
elytras. To prepare
Okay.
for future wars.
So what do you think when I say future? What's the future like? Have you been?
Nah.
Well, what do you think it's
Hey,
like?
um, I'm pretty optimistic about it. So I think that we'll be able to um, colonize Mars and maybe even other solar systems. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have hope for humanity. I don't think we're just gonna like die on Earth.
Okay. Well, in the 50s, or not in the 50s. Well, in the early, well, not in the early. Well, in the past, they had this beautiful vision for the early 2000s where we'd be like having hovering
Like
cars,
Back
and
to the
the
Future.
Jetsons. Yeah, like Back to the Future, the Jetsons. Why hasn't that happened? Well, in those times, they're coming out with revolutionary technology like LED lights, stuff like that, like things that really changed how people live. Nowadays, we aren't really coming. I don't know, but I don't know if we're coming up with technologies that are really creating a bunch of new industries, changing everything.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
I
you?
think
What do you think?
okay. So in the past, people have made predictions that like for flying cars, they just turned out to be impractical today. So like people have made flying cars, but they just require like too much fuel as compared to like a traditional car, and
Hmm.
it would be too difficult to implement. Like how would traffic be like?
Oh yeah, like
And
the
safety.
Star Wars awful traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. So um, I think people making these predictions just don't think about things that would have actual use
Like
in
Hmm.
reality.
yeah.
Hmm. I agree.
Well, when we're talking about the future, um, I like Mask Off. Think it's a good song.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All
Moving
right.
on.
Moving on. So, we have a little lessons under the theme death. I'll start with the first little mini lesson is what we usually do on this podcast. Under the theme, we have mini lessons. So, first mini lesson, death. The science of dying by Ethan. So, Tzak, what do you think death is? What is death?
I think that's when like the brain becomes irreversibly damaged, so that the person will no longer be conscious again. But I think the definition of death can be pushed further and further as we have more and more technology to like bring people back to life. So
Mm-hmm.
like CPR and like the AED stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, there's this thing, what is it? It's Kingsman.
Yeah.
They have this like they've used pseudoscience, but like it's they use this like gel pack, like like a little jelly pack, in case that one of their operatives is literally shot in the head by a bullet. They could put this jelly pack inside their brain, and then it could like freeze their brain's like state, biological state, and they could operate on it, which doesn't make much sense, but whatever. We move. So, science of dying. Death is an end of biological processes, and there's like a lot of controversy, not controversy, but like disagreement when people are defining what death is, because to define death means to define what life is, because death is just like the ending of a life. So to properly define when someone dies, you need to define how someone is alive. But the best way, not the best way, but one of the ways that we've done it is brain dead or legal death, like biological death. And it's when you detect no electrical activity in the brain. So their thinking is that if the brain's not doing any electrical what have yous, then the conscious, because the brain, they think that the consciousness, like who you are, resides in your brain. Because everything psychological is biological, as they say. So if your brain's not doing anything, your body's not doing anything. But then that's like, it's kind of weird, because in the past they defined it differently. Like when your heart stops, maybe that's when you die. But as you said, with like CPR and all that, you can restart the heart, defibrillator. I don't know. So, but that's like kind of weird because like some people can be brain dead, but their body is still doing things. Like people are like vegetables or in their comas. Their brain's not doing much, but they're still alive. So, as for today, I think the best one is brain dead. What do you think about that?
I would agree with that because like for people who are like just brain dead, their bodies are alive, but they're just their organs are working to keep producing like nutrients for the brain. But since the brain is dead, they're just doing that for nothing. And so I don't think your body is actually a part of like what you are. It's like okay, I think of it as your mind being in the body rather than the body being like yourself. So I think it's just like an augmentation to what you are. So when your brain is dead, you are dead. Your body is just like a tool for your brain. So I don't think like the stopping of your heart or anything determines that you are dead. I think it's the irreversibility of brain damage that should be like the actual metric for it.
All right. I guess the irreversible part covers any like corner cases or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I also like
Well,
Ethan's definition of like when all biological processes end, but then also it's like which ones are biological, which ones aren't. How do you define that and
how would
stuff?
you define life? Like, of course, there's like six definitions or six or some odd qualifications to say something is alive. But how would you personally define life?
You're Sachin.
You
Let's
first.
start with you. Let's start with
Um,
Tzak.
I tend to agree with the biological definition. You know, the seven conditions. Like you have to have metabolism, like ability to reproduce. Um,
Uh huh.
I can't think of any other way you could define life because, like, if you define it as like consciousness or something, then that would mean like plants are not alive. So,
Wait, when you say
yeah, we'll go with the
ability to
biological.
reproduce, what do you mean by that?
To make like copies of itself so it can further its like genetic material.
So like cell division or
Yeah. Well, not cell division, but like the reproduction of the entire organism itself. So for single celled
so
organisms,
if
that would
you're
be
infertile, you're not alive or
no like the okay the species as a whole. Like for humans, there are some who are infertile, but in general, humans are considered as like a species because they are alive because they can reproduce most of them.
so what about a mule? Is a mule alive? It's incapable of reproduction.
Um, let's go back to mitosis. I think mitosis is good enough.
All right. But what if it is single cell?
If it is single, okay, is it not still mitosis for single celled organisms like budding and stuff?
Uh, in
Because wait, it's binary fission, right?
it depends, I think. I don't remember actually. It's been a
Well, okay, as long as it has a means for like any cell to make a duplicate of itself,
so
doesn't have to go
what
mitosis.
about viruses?
I would not consider those to be alive because they do not satisfy the metabolism requirement.
Okay. All right.
What about
What
you?
if? What about? So like life. What if we at one point produce an AI that's like basically alive?
Well,
I mean, can it reproduce?
Would it change? Yeah. Okay, what if it creates more AI?
Well, I mean, is it a biological AI or a physical I mean, like a
I have no
technological AI?
idea.
Because if it's
What
not
if the
biological,
definition
then
for life
it's not
changed?
like actually alive, I guess.
I
Like
wouldn't call it biological life, but it would be like life,
sentient,
like
sentient, or whatever.
just
Yeah. So sentient and
sentient.
alive
Yeah.
are not the same.
Yeah, they're not the same.
Can you be
Ah.
sentient without being alive?
Yes, because for example, like if you model every single neuron in the human brain in a computer simulation, then that would be no different than an actual human brain, and it could actually think and stuff, but it would not be alive because it's in a simulation. It would not be biologically alive.
All right,
You know,
that
I'm
makes
fighting.
sense.
I'm fighting a virus. That virus is not alive,
It ain't.
but I am because I'm fighting it.
I feel
What do
like
you mean?
that's not a good justification for why you're alive.
I'm fighting. I'm in it.
All right, so
Ah,
what do you think about death as in like souls and them leaving your body or something?
you know, when I was younger, I want to. Sorry, but like when I was younger, I used to think that we had a soul, but now that I think about it more, we probably don't. It's probably like selfish to think that we have souls, or maybe not selfish is the right word, but like some people are scared by the fact that like after death it might be nothing. But like I find it oddly like comforting. Like it won't matter after you die, because after you
Yeah,
die you won't
that's a
exist.
fact.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe in the existence of a soul because um like all you are is just your brain, and if your brain get like is gone, then you are gone, and like to think that there is a soul that is connected to the brain is like, well, so after you die, does the soul take form of like when does the brain get captured, and like what state is the brain in that determines what soul, like what your soul is like when you die. Like for example, if you're in heaven, um like is your soul like brain dead? Because right before you die, your brain like okay, so most of your brain cells are dead when you die. So is
Mhm.
your soul like basically brain dead when you reach heaven? So what determines when the soul gets captured? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole like
Yeah.
soul thing, I also was doubting some because like where does it go after you die? Like can it go to heaven? Like how will it get there? Where is heaven and stuff like that? Just made me think there is not really a soul.
Yeah, I don't believe anything that doesn't have any empirical proof.
But you
Just
know, I think because I was once of the faith, and I think it's not so much about like needing proof. It's just about the feeling of comfort that you get from knowing that after death you have a place to go. Which
yeah,
isn't necessarily wrong. It's just like if you want to, I guess.
There was
Like,
actually a study, I think, in like the 1900s, so you can take this with a grain of salt. It was, I mean, grain of salt, not grain of assault. Um, which was like when some humans died, they their body weighed less, a little bit less. But when dogs
uh,
died, that didn't happen. So they were thinking that's maybe the weight of a soul, but I think
that
that's
could be
just like experimental flaws.
like due to anything.
Yeah.
Like so many things. Um,
Although one thing I think is interesting about the possible existence of a soul is like, have you read Watchmen? I know
no,
yes.
Ethan has, but I don't know Tzak if you have.
I haven't.
Okay. But like Dr. Manhattan, when he like his body stops existing, but he can still create a new one because he's like a metaphysical thing that can move particles around. So
Yeah, his
I
consciousness was still there, even though his body wasn't.
I feel like that's something that wouldn't be possible for us.
Oh, a similar thing. Have you seen Neon Genesis Evangelion?
No. Is that like an anime or something?
Yeah, a similar thing happened. So the main character Shinji, he goes inside of a pod to pilot a Gundam, basically. And in the pod, there's a fluid that has a high enough oxygen concentration that you could breathe in it, so you're breathing under a fluid. Well, his body gets vaporized, but all the material that make up his body is still there. And also his consciousness, his psyche was maintained in the fluid. So it's a similar thing where like your body doesn't exist, but your psyche or your consciousness is like a separate entity that can be removed and replaced. But kind of weird.
It's an interesting idea. I just don't think it's actually true or could happen.
Yeah, and what they wanted to do was extract the liquid and rebuild his body, which is like, wow, if you could rebuild a body, then well, I mean, they did rebuild humans. They like created humans, and one of them they even created a human with a soul, but they also created humans without souls. So that means that the soul is something other. But who knows?
But like also that's an anime, so
Yeah.
scientific accuracy is questionable.
All right, Sachin, I think we should move on.
Yeah.
The future of science. Give it to us.
All right. I think the future of science is NFTs. Have you heard of NFTs? They stand for non-fungible tokens. They are the future.
Sadly, I have heard of them. Tzak, do you own any NFTs?
Yeah, about like 50
Oh, okay.
Actually,
and a
How many
half.
monkeys? How many monkeys are there? How many? Like, what percent is monkeys?
25.
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
all
And what's
right.
the value on that?
Wait, how expensive are they like actually right now?
It depends,
They,
right? Like on what NFT you're looking at, because there's some that have sold for like 60 million or something, and then there's others that are like three
I don't
cents.
understand NFTs because like it's only as much as you're willing to buy it for.
Yeah.
So can you just create money? Like I make something and my friend buys it for $1,000, and now we've just created $1,000.
No, that's not how buying and selling works, but I will try to explain NFTs, but I'd like to make it clear that NFTs are not the future of science. Um, anyway, so NFTs, it's basically like trading cards but digital. So,
Ah,
like, you can see a trading card and like you just don't have it, you can see it. And
hmm
then like people can make as many trading cards as they want of a specific one, but they're all different, like physically different, as in they're not the same card. So NFTs are like that, but digital. You can sell as many NFTs of the same thing as you want. They're just like digitally not all the same. And it's like that. And like with trading cards, they're as valuable as people are willing to pay for them. The same thing happens to NFTs. So I think that's the best comparison you can come up with is like digital collectible items.
so should people invest in NFTs?
Um, well, it's like should people buy trading cards to make money? I mean, I know Judd makes a lot of money that way.
Well,
So
like, but trading cards are useful and they're
are
cool.
they really?
They don't have any
Yeah, you can
real
play
world.
it. You could use them in a game.
I mean, it
But
depends
you're
on
not
what
paying.
kind of trading card you're talking about. Like, if we're
Pokemon.
talking about Pokemon, then yeah, you can play with those. Like baseball cards,
Oh yeah.
so like those don't actually have any utility, but
hmm
it's like a collectible item.
Okay. How's crypto different?
Crypto is so NFT. One of its things is that it's a non-fungible token, which means like they're not all the same. You can't replace one with another. So cryptocurrency is just fungible tokens, as in like currency. They're like each one can be replaced by a different one, and they're all the same value. And then
Okay.
it's all built on blockchain, but let's not go there.
So
So yeah,
how
that's
does like
NFTs.
how does like hashing and stuff work?
Well, I just said let's not go there, and then you ask that.
Okay, fine.
All right. Yeah,
No,
because
hold on, hold on. As you're talking about the future, you're talking about a lot of technical things. This all seems like very codey to me. Is it like, they're talking about universal languages, the future, connecting mankind. Do you think it will become essential that everyone knows at least some code?
essential. Well, I can't say whether that will be like, because then it depends on your definition of essential, right? It
Like to
would.
like get like all jobs would require you. Like all jobs, like most jobs in America, basically require you to speak English.
Okay, so I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna explain. So there's this one book I read that's really interesting. It's also a series, but the first book is called Insignia, and what happens is like they start being able to implant like processors into people's brains that let them interface with like machines and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then by the end of the series, this is kind of spoiling it, but I don't think you guys have read it, so it doesn't really matter. And for the people who are listening to this, I'm sorry, but it's kind of important to spoil. Um, Basically, by the end of the series, everybody has one of those processors in their brain. So at that point, being able to program is a requirement for most jobs or all jobs because their brains literally run with those programs, like in sync. So it becomes a fundamental requirement, and I think it might be possible in the future that something similar could happen. So then at that point, being able to code or at least think logically like that would be a requirement, not even for a job, but just to like live.
Would you consider computer
Oh,
science to be science?
Um, no, I mean, the computer science is kind of a broad term because like one thing it can mean is the science of computers and like how they work and stuff. And at that point, it is a science. But on the other hand, there's the theoretical part of computer science, the logical software side, which is more of math than anything else.
I see.
Anyway, going back to the future of science. So, science itself, the basic concept of like the scientific method, is not going to change. Well, actually, that's also debatable, but I'll talk about that later. Um, so, all the different fields are going to advance in terms of knowledge and technology, specifically the ones that like have integration for technology. Like because technology is probably one of the fastest growing things, and so any field that's like has any connections with it is just going to get boosted. In addition to that, because like there's artificial intelligence and machine learning will become pretty big in the future, and that'd make computers more intelligent and able to like augment our discoveries and knowledge, and they'd be able to help us in the pursuit of science. And an example of that is like AI can learn to process brain activity and directly interact with our minds. And then that would even help you like think faster, come up with new ideas, and that way you can come up with new science or things like that. Um, Other ways, I guess, is like, well, I guess that's an example of like how biology could advance in the future. Is like biotechnology and like neural computers and stuff like that. There's also, I guess, for chemistry, um, they can use technology to figure out different combinations to synthesize medicine and whatever, or different chemicals and compounds, and design the most efficient processes to produce them. Like they already used AI to make the COVID vaccine, so they can continue doing that kind of stuff to a greater degree. And then I guess for physics, well, a good example is the James Webb Telescope, which just launched. Um, so we'll be able to see even further back in the universe and back in time because of the whole light year, light distance thing. And so, yeah, having more technology in the future helped us build a better telescope. So, yeah, basically, we'll be able to do a whole lot more stuff with science.
I agree.
Same.
Okay, well, we were gonna have a segment on current science news, but there's just too much happening. Like there, you got Lorona, you got the Omicron, you got people going into low Earth orbit to escape the Omicron. So I'm gonna skip that. Plus, we're like almost short on time. Well,
Wait, really?
not really. We're like halfway through. It's just we got a lot of ideas to chug through, and I don't want to spend too much on this.
That's true.
So we're gonna go to the Mad Lad section, where we talk about famous scientists who contributed to the theme that we're talking about today. We have two Mad Lads. So Tzak, do you know who Katie Bowman is?
No.
Well, do you know what a black hole is?
Yes.
So Katie Bowman is an expert in electrical engineering and astronomy, and in 2019, with her work with the Event Horizon Telescope, her and her team published the first picture of a black hole. Have you seen that picture?
Yeah.
So, what makes this picture so cool?
It's the first like actual visual picture because every other visual representation of black holes from before are all like simulations and artist depictions.
So,
So
why
this is
can't we
like
get a picture? Why can't we get a picture of a black hole?
well, most of them are too far away, and the light they emit is very low. All the light
Uh,
comes from the event horizon, like from
okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
why there's the orange circle around the picture.
yeah.
So I thought that nothing escapes the black hole, like
That's
light
why,
gets sucked in.
yeah, that's why you don't see anything in the middle. That's the part of it
Oh,
that's the actual black hole.
oh,
The rest of it is like the part where light can actually escape.
ah, okay, okay, all right. So that's Katie Bowman. She's a very smart person. There's a picture of her sitting next to all of the I don't know what they're called, like computer part that it took to process the data. Pretty cool picture. It's like that picture of like the lady standing next to all the calculations she had done to help send men to the moon. That was pretty cool. Sachin, do you want me to take this next one, or do you want to take it?
Um, I'll take it, I guess. So the
Mm.
next one is, of course, Elon Musk, 2021 Person of the Year by Time Magazine. And I guess there's most people have heard of Elon Musk at least by now, and like he's done great things and with a lot of his companies like Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, and then he's also related to like PayPal and other things.
Mm.
And so basically, he's just done a lot of things for science and the future. Made a lot of contributions. Like with SpaceX, he was able to privatize space travel, and with Tesla, he's able to like make electric vehicles like economically viable. And actually, I have a Tesla, so that's
Oh, okay. All right, big dripper out here.
yeah, that's an example, I guess. So yeah, he's just made a big difference to shifting the course of the future, and he still has more plans and like researching ways to get people to Mars and improve life on Earth. Like with his Boring Company, he wants to build tunnels under populated cities to make travel faster and more efficient. And then he's also working with to make self-driving cars with the Tesla cars, and that will also improve travel. And they're also working on reusable rockets to make like space tourism actually affordable. And he's also preparing, I think, to launch an internet service using satellites that'll be as fast as like conventional internet services. Yeah, so there's all that. And he's also from South Africa, so
One of the
technical.
richest African Americans.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, is he actually an African American if he was born in South Africa?
I would
Is
say
he
so.
not from Africa and in America? Or is he just an African?
Okay, that's the part I'm not sure about because I'm not sure exactly what the definition is.
Was he
Oh
born in
yeah,
South Africa?
I also forgot to mention is how he is the richest private citizen in history right now.
Ah. So how's that Tesla? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Feels like the future. The future is
So
now kind of
have
stuff.
you used the self-driving function on it?
No, we can use the autopilot, which is like it stays in its lane. So you can use that on like highways and long roads, but it can't turn by itself or navigate to places because like the
Uh,
full self-driving features cost like extra, which kind of
that's
sucks.
kind of
But
weird. They like put DLC on a car.
I mean, but it is a software-based thing, so it makes more sense than like
Yeah. Does
doing.
it bother you that Elon Musk has control of your property?
Um,
So like, there's people
it's
upload
no
videos of them.
different. It's no different from like any manufacturer like Apple being able to change your phone when they want. It's
Yeah,
not.
but like, think about it. Like, say I drive a Ford F-150 and I record myself like jumping that Ford off a ramp, and now they take a function off of my Ford. Does that bother you? Because it
What do you?
bothers. I don't know. It's a little like
Oh, you're talking
bothersome.
about how they can see
Yeah,
what
people
you're
do.
doing and then they can like restrict some stuff.
Yeah, they like take functions after you bought it and it's your car and your property. Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, I still think it's not really that different from other things like the Apple stuff and then like they can push updates to like any software that you own, like video games or something that removes some feature, but you don't see people like complain about that or point that out.
Yeah. He's like, would you buy an electric car? Would you buy a hydrogen fuel cell car?
Um, yeah, because uh, I mean they're more expensive, yeah, but I think I support like being more green and stuff.
Uh-huh.
What about hydrogen? What he said earlier.
Would you want a
Um,
hydrogen bomb in your car?
I'm not sure if it's more dangerous or not, but I heard that the only waste is water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would make it like better for the environment.
I mean, but like also it doesn't seem to be like viable as fuel because it's too hard to like make and stuff.
Oh, well, I would go with the electric cars then. Because like they already have the infrastructure set up. There's like charging stations everywhere.
Yeah.
At malls and stuff. If you just want to charge your car.
Yeah. Like if you want to buy hydrogen fuel, you're gonna like go probably go through so many government watch lists at that point.
Yeah, I do suppose. Do you like Elon Musk? I mean, he dated a cat girl. He's married to a cat girl.
I mean, I
Uh,
think he's. You go first.
he's got some interesting stuff going on. That's all I gotta say. Whether I like him or not, I mean, like as a person, maybe not, but like in terms of what he's actually doing for the world, I'd say pretty admirable.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. Like that most people definitely wouldn't do this with the money. Um. Like most billionaires, they're just chilling. But Elon Musk is actually trying to help like humanity progress and have our species like have our safety guaranteed because if anything happens to Earth, then like bro moment.
So you've seen SpaceX, right? The reusable rockets.
Yeah.
Would you, if you had a flight from Florida to Hong Kong, would you take one of those rockets?
Yes, bro.
Ah, okay. Well, that's interesting. Should we move on to our next segment?
Wait. Yeah. Again. You cut out.
Should we move on to our next segment?
Sure.
So this is the guest segment. You sent us questions and we shall answer. So, Tzak, your first question to us was, how likely are we to terraform Mars? Well, I'd say it's about the money. You know, you've seen Kurzgesagt.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube channel. You see, like he gives all these ideas. They give all these ideas about terraforming Mars, colonizing the universe. You know, interstellar travel. And like the bottom line in a lot of his videos is that it could happen within a lifetime if the governments agree and there's enough funding for it. Would you want to live on Mars, Tiza?
Personally, no, because I don't know. It just seems kind of depressing to like constantly live in a planet where it's
Yeah,
just red.
yeah.
There was a short story, I think, at least at LCMA, we had to read. That was about these people that lived on Venus or something, and they
I
only got
read
to,
that too,
yeah,
dude.
they only got to see the sun every once in like 7 years or something, and it was just
It was so
generally
depressing.
depressing.
Yeah.
This girl was so excited, and then they locked her in a closet.
Damn.
Yeah, so generally, if you're not like an altruistic, like super altruistic person, then I'd say no, you wouldn't want to live on Mars.
Well, what if we terraform it? Will it like be similar to Earth?
If we terraform it, then it's going to be a colony for the rich, I feel. Like all the rich people would go there to escape Earth.
Will there be
But it'd be cool.
What about the
like
ethics of terraforming?
No one's there.
yeah, exactly.
But it's also climate change, isn't it?
Yes, but it's good
Yeah.
climate change.
Good climate
It's
change.
habitable climate change. Well, if we could terraform Mars, we shouldn't, and like change Mars to an extent, shouldn't we be able to do the same thing on Earth? With the, I guess, probably not. It's about drive, though.
Yeah. If we can terraform Mars, can't we like reverse global warming easily? Or is it like in the opposite direction, so it's harder?
I have no idea.
Um, what are you talking about? Like the CO2 levels on Mars?
Yeah, because like people talk about making Mars warmer, so it's like making the atmosphere thicker, so it's more habitable. But for Earth, we have to make the atmosphere thinner, like by a little bit, like removing the CO2 and stuff, um, to make it colder. So is it because it's in the opposite direction that it's harder?
I
Mm.
I don't know. There might be some stuff also about like equilibrium with how there's a high concentration of carbon dioxide, at least in Mars, but like in Earth there's not, so it's harder to manipulate.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Shout out to Miss
If
Alecki.
you could live on a planet, what planet would it be?
When you say live on a planet, define live on a planet.
You can survive in that planet.
I mean, like,
If you could delete one planet from the solar system, which one would it be?
uh, alright, so we have to keep Jupiter because it tanks all the asteroids. Uh,
You know, oddly enough, I was gonna say delete Jupiter, but now that you say that, I'm gonna agree.
Also, like, it's the one that, like, keeps the asteroid belt, like, relatively similar, right? Or I forget if that's what it actually does or not.
I mean, wouldn't delete Mercury have the least effect on the orbits of every other planet because it's the least
Yeah,
massive?
I'd
yeah.
probably delete Earth.
What?
I'd probably delete the sun.
Oh, okay.
It seems like the most non-essential, personally.
Now, the one person that says delete Pluto, we might have hands.
Deviation.
Next question: how will the universe end? You know who Azothos is?
No.
No,
You know who H.P. Lovecraft is?
I've
no.
heard of them. Are they like a science fiction writer or something?
Yeah, he's extremely racist, but he's a science fiction writer. It's like not even like science fiction. It's just fantasy.
All right.
But he said in his Lovecraftian ways that Azathoth is a god, right? Is the strongest god, if you will. The whole universe is just a dream. It's just his dream. And the old gods, they spend all their time singing to Azathoth to keep him asleep. So as soon as and Azathoth will wake up. As soon as he wakes up, the dream will end and the universe will cease to exist. So that's how the universe will end. Or alternatively, the universe is always expanding, as you know, and then soon the stars will stop forming, and then black holes will eat up all matter. Entropy will cause all heat to disperse and disappear, leading to the heat death or big freeze. But I think the Azathoth one is more likely.
Wait, would
Do you think?
black holes actually eat all the matter? I don't think that would happen.
I don't know. That's just from the website that I found it on. It
The
said
heat
black
I think
death,
it
holes.
would.
the heat death sounds like it would happen. But
Yeah.
like black holes,
Entropy.
Yeah.
Black holes will just start eating.
Have you guys heard of Hawking radiation?
yeah,
No.
So it's when a pair of matter and antimatter particles form at the event horizon of the black hole. So like one particle goes in and the other one escapes the black hole. So what that does is it effectively takes the energy out of the black hole. So eventually all the black holes will evaporate as well. So I think they will all evaporate before all the matter is eaten.
yeah.
Because
The
there's
only
always
thing
going
I
to be
was
some.
thinking of is that the universe will expand faster than the black holes will.
Yeah. Do you think heat death will happen? Like what if we somehow find a way to prevent
You mean like
or
break the laws of physics?
okay, maybe the dark matter is like the attraction, like gravity is stronger than dark energy or something, and then the big crush happens instead of heat death. Like have you heard of that?
Yeah,
Like
I've
where
heard of the big crush
If
actually. I
heat death
mentioned it
starts
in
to happen,
episode
I'll
one.
intervene.
Like we were talking about theories of the creation of the universe, and the big crush was part of one of the things. And that's like the universe going back, like just contracting.
yeah, what if the universe is like a lot older? Like what if this has been going on for like a long time? For a long time.
I forget which theory did I say that was. I think it was like eternal state or something.
Steady state.
Let me go back to the notes.
There's like steady state. There's oscillating. There was
Oh, it was the oscillating, I think. Oscillating model. Constant big bangs and big crunches to restart the cycle.
Moment.
But yeah, um, I mean, do they have any evidence to say that the big crunch might actually happen
No,
eventually? I
currently
mean,
it's like expanding like a lot faster.
do they? I forget.
So
Do they know why it's expanding?
um they don't really know why. They just attribute it to dark energy, which people theorize might be you know how like so the matter and matter particles popping in and out of existence that creates like energy that expands the fabric of space time, which creates like a net expansion everywhere, which pushes everything away. And they call it dark energy. They never like actually observed it happening though, so like they observed the particles part, but not how it contributes to the expansion.
There's
It's all
something
theory.
interesting with dark energy, I think, that I was going to talk about later, or about, I forget. I think it was like how it's neither dark nor energy, or was that dark matter? Anyway,
Dark matter sounds like it could be. Well, actually not. I think it was dark matter because it's not dark if it is transparent, right?
yeah.
hmm,
Anyway,
interesting. That brings us to our final guest question, which I've written up quite the explanation for, but oh well. Are aliens real? Well, they've got to be. You know what I'm saying? So Goldilocks zone. is the habitable distance from the sun in which liquid water can exist. So like Earth is in a Goldilocks zone, so we're right distance where we can maintain liquid water on Earth. But like scientists have also like calculated how many there should be, how many planets should be in the Goldilocks zone. However, we have never come in contact with aliens.
Yeah.
So this tells us this is like Enrique Fermi thought of it like the Fermi paradox. Like like paradox, we haven't come into contact, but we know there should be thousands. So what's up with that? And people have begun to think maybe there's a great filter. So either it's extremely rare for life to arise from non-living things. So like life on Earth arose from non-living, like inorganic processes.
Lightning and stuff.
Yeah, all that jazz. Or perhaps when a civilization reaches a certain technological advancement, it eventually ends in their own destruction. So maybe humanity's on track to destroy itself. Who knows?
You know what I think?
What?
How are they supposed to come into contact with us?
I don't know. Haven't we been sending out like random signals for such a long time?
Not long enough, bro. It's such a small window
Yeah.
compared to the
Yeah.
age of the universe. Like, other civilizations could exist and then not exist before they get our message.
Oh, true.
Like, entire, like, solar systems could, like, exist and not exist before they get our message. Vice versa, how will they contact us? It's just the universe is so big.
Would you want to contact aliens? Have you seen To Serve Man?
No.
It's a Twilight Zone thing. So basically, aliens come to Earth and they like basically terraform the planet. They make it a beautiful like Garden of Eden. But all that, and they're like, we're gonna take some people back to our planet, but they leave a book behind, and they're trying to decipher what the book says. And while the guy is about to board the alien ship to go there, they figure out that the book is a recipe on how to serve, like how to cook humans.
Bruh.
So it's to serve man. So they've been like heal it. They've been healing the planet so that our population would grow, so that they can eat humans.
That's kind of crazy.
That seems counterintuitive though, because like
No.
putting energy in to get less energy out. Well, I guess we do that with
That's how
Wagyu beef and stuff.
that's how eating works. Consumption. Food
No, 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 but
demands.
like it's not really efficient. You know what I'm saying? Like to get Wagyu, we just put a lot of energy into growing cows. So I guess human is like a delicacy for them. Kind of weird stuff, I would say. Tzak, would you like to meet an alien?
What alien? What alien? Or just
You're
like
kind of quiet.
Yeah.
okay, so how would we communicate?
You don't
I don't
even
know.
you never specified if it was sentient or not.
Yeah, it could be like a
Is it
single celled
possible
organism.
for them to not be carbon-based life forms?
There's a thing in Star Trek where they're like silicon based. Because
How is that even possible?
silicon also has like four valence electrons.
Yeah, but
Ah,
what if life was not water based in other planets? What if it's like methane based or something? Like methane is the solvent.
ooh,
Do you think that's possible?
wombo combo.
Maybe. I mean, have
I've
they
sure
like
I've heard
tried
on
creating different environments where that's the case?
like I've heard some theories. I think it was like a moon of Saturn or something where it has like seas of methane. There could be some like single celled organisms there that are methane based.
That'd be cool.
Facts. There's also liquid water in it was like another moon, some like faraway place. It's in our solar system though, but it's like underneath this ice sheet. There's liquid water because
Isn't it
um,
like one of
hydrothermal.
Jupiter's moons?
Yeah, probably.
I think it's like Europa or something.
Facts, facts.
Ah. Well, we will quickly move on to the viewer questions.
Speed run
So we are a
time.
popular show. Huh?
I said speed run time.
Yeah, well, we are a popular show. So we have a lot of viewer submitted questions. First question comes from Jimmy. How do you explain Wait, can you explain why, if you rub garlic on your bare foot, you'll taste it an hour later? Well, Jimmy, allicin is a molecule in garlic, right? The allicin goes through the skin on your foot, travels through the blood, and circulates to the mouth and nose, where it is recepted, and then you're like, oh, I taste garlic.
Wait, is that
So,
actually real?
yeah, that's
It,
why you can taste it, but you don't really taste it through your foot. There's no taste buds in your foot. It's just the blood with the allicin goes in, and you're like, because the receptors in your tongue and nose sense allicin. They're like, oh, I must have eaten garlic. Okay. Do you like garlic, Tzak? You're Chinese. Do you like garlic?
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Chinese. Huh?
Who doesn't?
vampires?
Uh,
Obvious answer. I
that
don't
is a
know.
that is a good answer. That is a good answer.
Like, why would you even ask that?
Mm-hmm. Our next question comes from Salat. Why do less tennis string? Or no, that's the wrong one. Why do tennis balls get faster after they hit the ground if they have spin? That's a good question, Slat. Next question. Why do less tennis strings compared to more tennis strings make it easier to produce spin? How does surface area play into this? As strings that are thinner or greater spaced apart will make it easier to produce spin? That is a great question. Next question. Not a question, but good luck on the podcast. Thank you. A promise is a promise. Final question. Organic chemistry, in layman's terms, how would you explain organic chemistry? From Michaela. Well, organic chemistry. I'm not in chemistry. Would you chemistry boys like to take it away?
I mean, we haven't learned this part yet, but basically, it's chemistry with organic stuff, like
So carbon.
carbon-containing compounds, and you
Okay.
study like their interactions and the molecules that are formed. And then there's a lot of different molecules in organic chemistry, like propane and other stuff, right?
Uh, what's
Um,
your favorite organic molecule?
Uh,
ethylene.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mine is propane, I guess. All my homies hate
Uh,
benzene.
my favorite is ethylene. That's my
Um,
Instagram handle.
you can actually answer Sun's question.
Oh, you can? Go for it.
So okay, so
Wait, son, he didn't ask any questions. You mean this guy named Slat?
okay, yeah, slat. So 16 by 19 strings. They have strings that are further spaced apart, so that allows it to grip the ball better. So for um like closerly spaced um string um, configurations, uh, if it doesn't grip the balls like as well, it allows for the tennis racket to pass over the ball without like with slipping. Whereas if it has better grip, it's rolling without slipping. So there's better transfer of uh like rotational energy into the ball, so it produces more spin.
Uh,
Alright, very interesting presentation by Tzak about gripping balls. Moving on.
okay.
Sorry,
All right,
I gotta
Tzak.
laugh for a bit.
Tzak does know a thing or two about gripping balls. He's quite the expert at gripping balls.
I'm glad y'all
Tzak,
like
where'd you
that.
learn?
I'm trying so hard not to start laughing.
All right, we're nearing the end of this episode. What did you learn, Tzak? What did you learn from this episode? We'll go around.
Um, well, I learned more about uh like just like stuff,
Okay.
Alright.
and I can't think of anything specific right now. But
Well, okay.
yeah, interesting
Sach,
conversations.
Sachin, what did you learn?
Well, I learned some interesting stuff about some of the theories that Tzak was saying. Like, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Tzak, what did you talk about again?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot.
Alright.
All right. Well, I learned that Tzak is good at gripping balls. He's really getting a good grip on those balls.
I should have worded it differently.
Well,
So, Tzak, do you have anything to shout out? Anything you want to mention? Anything you want to say?
Not really. I'm just chilling right now. I'm trying to finish the college job, so I'm just like nothing in my mind
Huh?
right now.
Ah, well, I'd like to shout out Tzak. I'd like to shout out Mei Lao.
I actually have an announcement, sort of.
Uh
Um.
huh.
Okay, so turns out Dartmouth has this thing where it asks for a peer recommendation, like it strongly recommends it. So
Uh
if
huh.
anyone would be willing to put in some effort, uh, yes, please DM.
Okay. Did you
alright.
know that in some counties in Washington, Asians are in like one county, Asians are now considered white?
What the hell?
Asians are no longer a minority. They're part of the white, you know,
Why?
group. I have no idea, but we were just talking. My family was talking about it. I thought it was pretty funny. Well, like a county in Washington just took out Asians. They're just like, you're white now. Like I think it's for school. You know, like how you have to answer, you black, you Hispanic, you whatever.
Yeah.
It's now there's no Asian option. You just got to answer white
But
or something like that.
is
It's a
this
little
in
food
like
for thought.
the race section?
Yeah, I think so.
Cause like that doesn't make any sense then.
Yeah. Well, we're now white, y'all.
That,
Wait, does that include me too?
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah. All Indians, all Asians are white now.
yeah. What would Indians put in that case?
Yeah, no, they still put white because they're Asian.
that doesn't. I mean, I could understand maybe like if they tried to put like Tzak into white, and then to a lesser extent maybe you Ethan into white, but like me, are they serious?
Yeah, you're white now. We can go to Bob Evans and Cracker Barrel. You know.
That's so dumb, bro. Okay.
Anyway, thanks for the episode, T-Zach. Thank you. This is the last canonical episode of the show. How does that
Yeah.
make you feel?
Um.
Feel honored you have been on the show. Thank you for having me on the show.
Can you repeat that, but like louder?
Thank you for having me on the show. I feel honored to be the last guest.
Well, thank you for being on. That has been the show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Do 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 do. Wow, that was
So,
cool.